In January 2010, Extending the Link traveled to Uganda to learn about child-headed households.
As students, we went to learn about these children and bring back their stories to share.
Our hope was to inspire compassion and spark interest in lives very different from our own.
But the children touched our lives in more ways than we ever could have expected.
Uganda is a world all of its own. Far away from the familiar landscape of the United States, it ebbs and flows with an abundance of life. But with 76% of Uganda's population living below the international poverty line, survival is becoming a battle, and it is affecting the most vulnerable population, the children.
So parents die, and then children are on their own. Relatives are not out willingly coming to take care of these children because they are many, and the resources are not enough to take care of them. So children end up staying on their own. Maybe the elder takes care of the young ones, and there comes the plight of child-headed families.
Child-headed families is a big problem in Uganda. Not only in Uganda, but I think everywhere where we have been a problem of, we have had a problem of AIDS, HIV/AIDS, because AIDS kills both parents, the mother and the father, leaving the children alone. So you find that sometimes the children are very young to take care of themselves, but they have no choice, they have to do it.
Most of the causes is HIV/AIDS in Africa, in Uganda in particular, and just why you find most of the child-headed families in Rakai district where AIDS started from.
Since the first AIDS outbreak in the 1980s, the number of orphaned children has been increasing rapidly. Right now, 50% of the population is under the age of 15. Normally, a member of the extended family would take responsibility for the child if the parents died. However, with more children and fewer resources, the remaining adults cannot afford to care for the orphans. The children are left to fend for themselves, and the burden of supporting and raising a family falls upon the eldest sibling.
But we also don't rule out the issue of conflict, that some parents just leave the children on their own because they have failed to solve problems, and the children stay on their own. They have no one, they can't go back to their parents, and they have stayed on their own, but somehow they have to leave. So that comes and causes child-headed families.
Orphan children can be identified as single or double parent orphans, depending on how many parents the children have lost. If one parent is lost to AIDS, then it is often the case that the other also has it. Because of this, even children with one parent left alive can still be considered orphans. In the case of AIDS deaths, it is common that the surviving parent will be left physically weak and unable to perform the duties that a parent normally would for their children.
Child-headed families, we have them in different categories. We have the children that don't have parents, the total orphans. We have kids that have parents but they are very sick, so it is kids to take care of those families. And those who are very old and they can't take care of the kids, so it's kids to take care of the parents.
Most parents, even if they are aware of their terminal illness, often cannot make alternate living arrangements for their children before their death. Children are left in the household with limited or no resources. As the epidemic spreads, these child-headed households are becoming more frequent in rural areas. Although poverty and health factors affect everyone, it is the children who bear most of the consequences. At only 15 years old, Nikako Rosemary is the primary caretaker of her family. Her father died of AIDS, leaving Rosemary to look after her HIV-positive mother and two young nephews, whom she refers to as her sons.
Where do you sleep?
Sleep.
You sleep?
How many sleep in this room?
Yeah, four.
Four?
Yeah. When I was P6, yali talina ssente ate ng'alina obulwadde bwa asima ne bumukosa bubi ng'era nze nina okubeera nga nze supportinga wano wewaka ne ku ssomero.
So the mother went to the hospital and was like admitted there. So she would stay here, but at the same time go to nurse the mother. That's what she's saying. So she says that she explained her situation to the administration of Uganda Rural Fund, and then they helped her finish the exams because the mother was sick and was unable to get the money to be able to support her well. So after P7, she continued taking care of the mother. Mama wo ne wamala P7 yali akyali mu ddwaliro.
Neranga kale asuse.
Okay, even after P7, the mother continued to be sick, but was a little improving. But still, she went and got her results because they knew her situation. So, and then she finished P7.
Having to act as both mother and nurse requires that she bear responsibilities that are well beyond her years. She is quiet and reserved, but stands straight and speaks with an adult-like confidence. Her weathered hands are an indication of the heavy burdens that she carries, but sometimes she reveals a forgotten childlike nature. At 5 a.m., Rosemary is already awake, taking care of household chores and gardening before beginning a 4-mile walk to school. Although Hope Academy is distant, her teachers say she never misses a class, showing her commitment to receiving an education. When she returns home, Rosemary cares for her family by doing such things as collecting clean water, in addition to doing her homework. There is a nearby ground well that supplies water during the wet season, but for 6 months out of the year, during the dry season, the closest water source is over 9 miles away. Her garden and 2 pigs provide a small income for her family, but it is never enough to cover even the necessities. They often go hungry, and somehow, Rosemary must find enough money to pay for her mother's hospital bills.
She's saying that what motivates her every day is that she knows that suffering is not death, and that this kind of feeling gives her hope. And then she has her friends out there who have suffered but have overcome this kind of suffering. Sometime, like something good has come out of their suffering. They have become successful. So that makes her wake up and work hard, whatever kind of situation she suffers, because she knows in the future, when she studies, she will be a better person, even when the situation is not appealing.
Costs are high, but Rosemary sacrifices the time and money to go to school because she believes in the value of an education. She also realizes that some children aren't so lucky. In the year 2000, the United Nations set up the Millennium Development Goals to be completed by 2015. One main target is to have universal primary education. Sub-Saharan Africa has the lowest rates of primary school attendance and completion out of any region in the world. This explains why the area also has the lowest literacy rate among ages 15 to 24. The need to eat is often in conflict with the desire for an education, and child-headed families deal with this hardship every day. In a country that is fast becoming a primarily English-speaking area, the lack of an education puts them at an extreme disadvantage. Without this much-needed education, children cannot learn the skills necessary to succeed in daily life. It is inspiring what the children can accomplish when an education is made available to them.